Good afternoon and welcome to DKW, a different kind of woman. And today we have a very interesting topic. We're going to be asking the question, are Britain, or is Britain, losing its class? Have we reached the point where anything goes? Well, this is what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be very interesting, so stay tuned. But first of all, let's have a look at what's coming up on today's show. Welcome back. So we are talking about, is Britain losing its culture? And of course, I'm not talking about it alone. With me, I've got the very calm but sometimes controversial Kim.
Hi.
I have the polite and prim and proper Patricia.
Hello.
And I only have one word for this one over here, dignified Diane.
Hello.
How are you, darlings?
I'm very well, thank
Feeling
you.
classy?
Yes.
I want to ask you guys a question before we go into this topic and go through our games and things like that. What do you think being classy means? What does it mean to you in general? When you think of the word classy?
I think being dignified, having manners, and dressing appropriately.
Ah, that's a good one. What's in your opinion, what do you mean dress appropriately?
When I think of dressing appropriately, not having too much on show, having clothes that fit,
Yes.
and not being outrageous. I would think that's what I think is classy.
I think overall it's the way you present yourself, your clothes, you know, your first impressions. They can say a lot about you. The way you speak, I don't think the way you speak is the topic. You know, someone can judge you on the way you speak and you are actually classy or presentable as well. So.
That's interesting. All right, Patricia.
I think there's a lot to talk about when we speak about this kind of topic.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more like behavior, the way you behave in front of others, how to speak, when to speak.
Going against you, Diane.
When to speak and when to not speak. How to approach people, respect as well. So
And do you think us as women, we've got more of a task than guys in this area?
I do, because I think we've got more clothes and things to play around with. With a man, I think you can put on a decent suit, get a good haircut, smell nice, and you're away.
And pass.
Yeah.
Even if you're not that presentable person, you can pass.
Yeah, you can pass, yeah.
But with women, there's much more into it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so that's what you guys think. Let's see what the people in the street thought when Jennifer Lon hit the streets.
Can you describe British culture?
I guess British culture varies loads. I'm originally from Bath, and that's very traditional, sort of old-fashioned, Jane Austen kind of British culture, whereas London, I live in Islington here, and that's far more diverse and far more like a bigger mix of different people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and I love it. It's so much better.
The British people have different mind, but it's not very different to Spain. Just maybe the only difference is that, for me, I think is the time for having lunch or dinner.
3/4 of people inside Britain is more for boozy culture than anything else. You could find them in a pub for sure. Let me see, they're from a life relates around the pub.
Well, I think it's quite humorous.
To me, British culture would be there's a lot of pride in Britain. I think that's one of the main things. People are very sort of proud of their food, of their style, of their humour as well, definitely.
I just think British culture is for everyone, really, regardless of what colour and race and that.
Have you ever been embarrassed of your culture?
No, God no, never, ever.
I guess at the moment with what's going on with the Chelsea fans in France, that's really embarrassing. And yeah, I guess travelling abroad, when people anticipate, you know, that if you're British, you'll be understood, you can speak English, and that's embarrassing. But I think within our own nation, within our own cities, it's not embarrassing at all.
Nah, never. Never ever been embarrassed.
Can I ask where you're from?
Caribbean.
No, I don't think so.
I think certainly we think about the whole Brits abroad thing, so definitely from being time in Spain, refusing to speak another language when you're in that country, I think that to me embarrasses me quite a lot. That's something I'm quite passionate about.
Not at all. Very proud to be about that.
What do you think makes someone classy?
I think that the education.
I guess poise and manners. It's not about background or wealth or education, but it's just about, I think some people have innate good manners, other people don't.
Rich people, I mean, they think they're in a bigger class than everybody else. So.
Good fashion sense, good shoes, clean shoes. Rather have clean shoes and a dirty face. That's what my nan would always say.
I honestly believe just as, especially sort of living around London, there's too much of not opening doors, not waiting for people, and I think that's the main thing for me about class.
I just think the way your appearance and everything.
So Mrs. R, with all her trimmings, can broadcast the bed from Simmons, 'cause Frank will know anything goes.
Okay, very interesting views from the streets, don't you think, ladies?
Definitely.
Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of things. I'm going to ask you a quiz about British culture. Let's see how much you actually know. You guys ready?
Yes.
Right, first question. Which countries make up Great Britain?
England, Scotland, Wales,
And
Ireland.
Patricia, what do you say?
I agree with her, but I think it's not the entire Ireland, it's Northern Ireland only. Not sure.
Okie doke. And I
thought it was just 3 of those actually. I didn't think Northern Ireland was one of those answers, or even Ireland. But maybe I'm wrong.
And okay, no problem. And the answer is. Okay, great. So it's England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Well done, Patricia. The one who's not actually British. Well done. Fabulous. Next question. The drawing room, reception room, front room are all terms for which room in a house? Don't all just jump at once now.
The living room.
Living room.
Yes.
Living room. And the answer is. The living room. Well done, ladies. Okay, next one. Okay. If you throw in the towel, admitting defeat, what sports terminology are you using?
I know this one, so I'm gonna.
Just say. You can say. Just shout out. Cricket.
Boxing.
Boxing. I thought you knew the answer.
I did.
Boxing, cricket. Kim, go. What do you reckon?
I think it's boxing.
Boxing. Okay, let's have a look. It's boxing. Sorry, Patricia. Okay, what is the name of the most famous and possibly most expensive shop in London?
Definitely Harrods.
Definitely Harrods, really? Okay.
It's gotta be Harrods.
Harrods? Patricia? Harrods. Is it Harrods? Let's have a look. It's Harrods. Well done, ladies. Next question. If you don't know this, I don't know where you've been. What is Ben Nevis? Very, very close to our hearts.
Yes.
What is Ben Nevis?
A mountain.
Mountain?
Yeah, mountain, yeah.
It's a mountain. Well done. Did any of you guys climb it that time?
I did.
You did.
That's why I
for charity. Well
back.
done. Okay, I love this question. So British. What are you doing if you are going to the loo?
Obviously, we're going to the toilet.
Going to the toilet.
Going to the toilet.
And our answer is. Yay, going to the toilet. Well, I must say you guys are doing really, really well. Next question. Which country in Great Britain has bilingual road signs? Which one is it?
I go there a lot, so I know it. It's Wales.
Wales?
I agree, it's Wales.
Yeah, Wales. Let's have a look if Kim's right and the rest. It's Wales. Well done. Okay, another one. Last question. Where are the crown jewels kept? This is very interesting, this one.
I visited there when I was a child with the school, so I know it's the Tower of London.
Tower of London?
They're the beefy as well, Tower of London.
Tower of London?
I agree.
Tower of London. Okay, is it the Tower of London? It is. Well done, ladies. Okay, that was very easy for you guys. Let's get a bit deep now. I've got some British quotes. You've got to tell me who you think are the authors of these quotes. All right. First one is this. I have dreamt in my life dreams that have stayed with me ever after and changed my ideas. They have gone through and through me like wine through water and altered the colour of my mind. And this is one. I'm going to tell it, but take care not to smile at any part of it. Who said that? Which British author?
Where's our multiple choice?
Oh, doesn't look like there's a multiple choice for this one. It's getting harder.
Shall I stay out of this one?
I think you better stay out of this, Di.
Okay.
Okay, who else can tell me?
I don't know.
You don't know? Kim?
Di, tell
I
us.
think this one was Shakespeare.
Is it Shakespeare? Is it Shakespeare? Let's see. I feel like I'm family fortune.
Oh, it's not.
I knew it was Shakespeare.
Sorry, Di. Next one. To do a great right, you may do a little wrong, and you may take any means which the end to be attained will justify. Who said that? Which
Which
British
saying
author?
being British means you must know poetry?
I think so.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm British and I don't know poetry. I do admit that I know these answers somehow because I did a little bit of homework.
Yeah, so what's the answer, Diane? Just say it,
It's not in the correct order. I think it's Oliver Twist.
Is it Oliver Twist? Let's have a look. Is Di right? Oh,
Charles
no.
Dickens.
Charles
They're in the-
Dickens.
they're in the
I
wrong
don't think you
order.
need to say anything else.
Right, you should just give up. Just give up, Di. Just give up. Just give up. Okay, we've got one more so you guys can
Okay.
prove yourselves. Vanity and pride are different things. Though the words are often used synonymously, a person may be proud without being vain. Who came up with that then? Which British author? You guys are just looking at
I'm
me
really
blank.
bad at
No,
this.
we're not
Okay,
British
okay.
enough.
It was our lovely Jane Austen, ladies. Jane Austen. And I need to say something else. This is not a quote, but I want to throw this at you before we go for a break. So, England, wrote George Orwell in 1941, is the most class-ridden country under the sun. It is a land of snobbery and privilege, ruled largely by the old and silly. How do you think England has changed since 1941? Isn't that quite deep? Snobbery,
Yes.
I could see that.
class-ridden.
Yes.
Don't you think we've changed?
I think we've got more levels in the classes than there was before.
That's a good
If you
point.
if you
Very
think
good point.
of back Victorian times, I think if you look modern day, Britain has a lot more class, especially within probably the working and the middle class. It's not so clearly defined, and the things that used to define class, like accents.
Oh yes.
It's not. Usually, if you had a posh accent and you had money, then you were upper class. But these days, you might not necessarily have the snobbery accent, but you may have money. So, is that a different class?
Oh, I like it. Hold that thought, Kim, because we're going to develop that throughout the show. But let's go to a break. When we come back, we're going to be having this very special guest, Ellen Russell, joining us. So stay tuned for this. Welcome back, and we're asking the question, is Britain losing its class? And joining with us is a special guest today. We're very excited to have her, Ellen Russell. Hello Ellen, how are you doing?
I'm absolutely fine, thank you, and hello, and it's good to be here today.
Oh, it's good to have you, because you are from the English School of Business, Business and Social Etiquette, isn't it?
It is, yes.
And what do you think about this? I mean, I'm really excited to have you, because etiquette is, I think, in my opinion, especially among the working classes, something we seem to be losing, but we'll delve into that in a minute. In your opinion, do you think that Britain is losing its class?
No. I think that throughout the world we're quite admired. And we have a brilliant reputation in many areas. I do think that the small minority who might create havoc in other countries, and I think that is where the reputation's going somewhat downhill. But otherwise, I do think that the British have a really good reputation in most countries throughout the world.
Really? That's quite interesting. Do you know, I just want to ask a question about you.
Yes.
Well, before you did this, you used to be a preacher and a psychologist. How did you come to where you are now, talking about etiquette?
All right. I've got quite a long journey. I come from quite a dysfunctional background. I was, by the time I was 17, my mother was dead. My father had left home. We had 5 children, and one of the youngest was only 8 years old. So I went on to drink heavily after that, and by the time I was 34, I ended up in a rehab. I was in a rehab for 18 months.
Wow.
And it was during the time I was in the rehab, I started to study. And at this point in my life, I started to get into positive thinking. I think I did several degrees in psychology, psychotherapy, education, and from there I started to set up my own business as a psychotherapist, and went from strength to strength. I built up a brilliant practice. I had a really good reputation, and I did that for several years. But as I was progressing as a psychotherapist, I was being asked to represent professional bodies, usually in London, and then it went on to a couple of countries in Europe. And what I was finding is I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to make introductions. I didn't know how to do the fine dining. So I started to study etiquette, and at first it was with a leading school of etiquette in London. I did various other qualifications. Now, as I was progressing and the years were going on, I was thinking, I'm really getting tired of working with people at a very deep level of pain. And I thought I wanted to design a happy job. And I started to think about opening a school of etiquette. But at that time, I didn't think I certainly wasn't, it wasn't the confidence, but so much we're talking about accent.
Yes.
And I didn't think I could front it because my accent was a lot broader, a Northumberland accent. So I had to do an awful lot of work myself before feeling confident that, and also I was working full time as a psychotherapist, but I sat every night of the week until after midnight, or writing up presentations, studying etiquette, learning about it. With an addictive personality, you do never give half measures. And I certainly wouldn't give a half measure.
Yes.
So I really studied etiquette to a high level, and it was from that I set the School of Etiquette up.
Lovely. Beautiful. What a journey, and what a beautiful journey, I must say.
Definitely.
Really love that. And sorry, I know they've got other questions. I've just got to jump in. This is something I need to ask. How we're sitting right now, are we sitting in a way that you would, think... Don't try to fix yourself up now, Kim. Because I love the way you're sitting. I was watching the way you've got your leg over like this. I think that's very, prim and proper. How about the rest of us? What tips would you give us quickly about how to sit?
You're sitting perfect.
That's what I wanted to hear, really.
You're wearing trousers. It's well, I do want to say, it's usually never sit with your legs crossed. It's supposed to be always. If I think Princess Diana was a real, when you talk about icons, she really got it right.
Yes.
Getting in and out of the car, she was always perfect. I think in the media they tried for many years to catch Princess Diana getting into a car inappropriately, and she never did. So it's usually just sitting with your legs. Either you can cross them at the ankle, but not at the knee, and you keep your feet, as I say, you can keep your legs down like that, your back straight, and that would be the correct posture.
Love it.
For the,
Thank you so much, Helen. Thank you for that. So now that you're sitting correctly, Patricia, do you have a question?
Everyone looks uncomfortable now. I actually feel uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah, you look on it. It's very tempting. I often cross my legs. It's so, you just do it automatically, don't you?
Before we came back on the show, I was sitting back like, I thought, okay, let me change position, but it was still wrong, you know. So, why do you think etiquette is so important?
I think on many levels, when you know how to be, you feel a lot more confident. And this is where I felt why I got into studying etiquette was the doors it opens, it also creates harmony, because if everybody's acting in a particular way towards one another, you've got a lot more harmonious environment than what you would have if we're all shouting and bawling. And it was quite interesting. I was recently working in Lagos, and it was quite interesting, the different dynamics and the lack of harmony in the working environment that people were talking about. And then you actually watched it getting played out in the, it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it, but you really have to think about sorry, I'm not finishing, the sentence is here. But yes, I think etiquette's very important.
So, you know, I have to ask you this. You know this whole thing of saying "ma'am" and "sir" and opening doors, which, by the way, I love. I think it's lovely to see gentlemen opening doors for women. Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, it is.
And pulling the chair out and that.
Yes.
But, you know, writing thank you notes, these kind of things. But don't you think it's a bit outdated now?
Well, I've got an interesting story about that from yesterday.
Okay.
All right. I was I had the grandchildren with me, who I absolutely love. And I'd promised to make them something special to eat. Now, we had to go into Newcastle, and the football match was on, and I started to get hungry. So I said to the children, what about us grabbing something to eat in a minute, because I'm not going to be able to last until we get home. So Granny, go to the chippy. So there was a chippy, and I went to the chippy. I was only going to get something to... Yes. Walked in, and it was quite near the football ground. And what happened was, I ordered something that was going to take a while to cook. And so I said, we'll stand here and wait. While I waited, there were about 40 people came through, right? It was, "Gives a chip butty, please." But everybody who came through, their manners were absolutely brilliant. They opened doors for one another. There was a young woman with pink hair, and she looked really quite... I'll leave it to your imagination. But she got up and she opened the door. It was brilliant to watch everybody. And every man who walked past my two children said, "Excuse me," every man and woman who walked past. It was mostly men, with it being a football match, but I was impressed. And we're talking, you know, we often judge people and think, oh, football hooligans.
Yes, we get that a lot.
There wasn't, they were absolutely brilliant, and I thought it was lovely to see it when, and one man let somebody else out of the door in front of him, and the amount of doors that were open it was nice to see.
And as you just mentioned about a young woman,
yes,
lately been seeing a lot of young women started to use a wrong kind of English, cursing, swearing, maybe just trying to be like the icons.
Yes.
Do you think that this can change?
I think it can. Actually, I think we're turning a corner, to be honest, because I think people are becoming less tolerant of this sort of behaviour and are starting to do things about it now. And I think that people have made inquiries with me about working in the schools, working in different locations, and apparently Barclays Bank are now bringing in etiquette consultants. Diplomats are being told that they've got to go to etiquette training. And so I think there's a change, there's a turning of the tides here. And the other thing is, a few years ago it was seen as not the thing to, you had to not be using the correct etiquette, and I think people have said enough's enough. The other thing is, in terms of employability, they're realising that a lot of young people haven't got the skills that they need in order to communicate. So that's...
Well, ladies, we're running out of time, unfortunately. I can't believe every time we get a really good guest, we run out of time. I'm glad she just asked one more question.
How can you teach someone confidence?
I think in the first place you have to distinguish between self-esteem and confidence, and a lot of people muddle this up. Your self-esteem is more intrinsic, whereas confidence is more situationally determined. And I'm very conscious that I'm confident when I'm working as a psychotherapist or I'm doing presentations. Now, I wasn't so confident coming in here today because this is unfamiliar territory.
Well, yeah, there's that.
And I think that's then what you have to do is to teach confidence. One is to tell yourself good things, be very conscious about how you're thinking in your mind. And it's a bit like if you had a child and you wanted your child to grow up confident and self-assured, you would be saying to the child, oh, you've made a really good job of that, you've done really well. You wouldn't be criticising the child or putting the child down. So in short, because we're short of time here, to build your confidence up, be very aware of your internal dialogue. I get people to think about how they're thinking in their head. But also, if supposing you're going to do anything or you're doing a presentation, I do like the quote, fail to prepare and prepare to fail. You must really prepare for what it is you're going to do.
Ellen, sorry, I just one more question.
Yes.
If you could teach, because this is very, very important what you've just said, but if you could teach the world one basic skill, what would it be?
It would be the power of positive thinking.
Beautiful. Very good. The power of positive thinking. Keep that all in mind.
Yes.
Thank you so, so much for coming. It's been wonderful having you on. And I'm happy that the ladies are more postured. And we're going to take on that power of positive thinking as well and apply that. Thank you so much for coming. If someone would like to get in contact with Ellen, you can go to our website at dkw.me and her details will be on our website. Thanks again. Now we're going to go to another short break, but stick with us because we're going to have a very heated topic about what it is to be classy in Britain.
Very good evening to you. I'm Celso Jr. I'm here with you at Finding Answers.
I have confidence in myself now and I know that I can do anything.
But there you learned that there was hope for you. Give us a call or send in your emails and we will answer it live on the show.
Whatever you are addicted to is stronger than you. No matter what problem you're going through right now, I believe that where there is a will, there is a way.
Welcome back, and before the break we were talking to the lovely Ellen Russell about etiquette. I know everyone's looking very sharp in the studio, very happy about that. But now have a look at this video when fellow DKW presenters Melissa and Gemma went to Belgravia to see how the other half live.
Okay, so we're here in Belgravia at the William Curley Patissier and Chocolatier, and we're really looking forward to sampling some of the lovely desserts and chocolates, aren't we?
Definitely, I can't wait.
What are you drinking then?
I've got this really nice hot chocolate. It was delicious, absolutely. She said something like they have a bar of chocolate and they grate it and melt it in. Yeah, so it's not powdered chocolate. Yeah, it's not powdered chocolate. It's really, really high quality, and it tastes absolutely amazing. That's why it's all gone.
So is it really rich then, or is it?
It's not super rich that you can, you know, when you know sometimes you have that chocolate and you just can't even take it. You can only have a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's
that's how I thought it would be.
you can tell it's really high quality. That looks really good. Oh, that looks lovely.
So what have you got there?
So I'm going to start with this cherry one here, which looks really, really amazing. I like variety, you know, so I'm actually quite happy with this.
So this looks like some sort of petit four.
Yeah, it is. It's a petit four. So I've got this cherry, I've got a choux pastry, got a chocolate, and I can't even say it.
Millefeuille.
That's it. You're really good, actually. And I've got this little lemon one, so it's tasty.
That's lovely. Oh, let's try a bit. I'll try a bit of the lemon curd thing.
Oh my gosh, that cherry is amazing.
Oh, get it out.
Really rich. Really, really lovely. I'm going to have a little bit more of this. That looks really, really good.
It does look really nice.
Yeah.
It's nice because it's got like little layers of different things, it seems. Yeah,
nice.
There's the marmalade there and some hazelnut. I think the pastry is actually hazelnut pastry.
That sounds good. I want to taste a little bit as well. It's actually nice because obviously William Curley, as we know, is Scottish, but his wife is Japanese. So it's good to see like the different cultures infused in their desserts. It's amazing.
That is lovely. Really
That
nice.
is delicious.
Yeah, it's like you say because they, I think they both, him and his wife, both sort of founded the dessert or the patissier and chocolatier together.
Yeah.
I think it was first founded in Richmond.
Lovely. We could come back and do this maybe. This is the dessert bar menu.
Lovely.
And it's really, really good because I was just looking at this whole thing. And it's amazing how it's got loads of little desserts. And you know, if you're looking for a place to go with friends or like, you know, your parents for Mother's Day or something like that, it's really, really nice to sort of come in, try a few desserts, luxury desserts, have a nice hot chocolate or something or a hot drink. It's really, really a nice place. Listen, we are being spoiled. Look at this.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
I don't even want to eat it, to be honest with you. So I've been told that it's called a forêt noire.
Okay.
So
that would be Black Forest.
Black Forest. Yes, I'm impressed by your
English.
French actually.
So why the French then?
Well, basically, I've been told that William was the head pastry chef at the Savoy. So he's worked in France for many, many years. So this is why they've got this sort of French influence.
Okay, so there is a French influence too.
But you know what I absolutely love about this, and yours as well? It looks like a piece of art. Doesn't
It does.
It looks amazing.
Presented.
All the detail, you can see that so much work has gone into this, and that's why I don't want to eat it, but I will because it looks so rich. Oh, this is amazing. The thing is, I keep saying all the desserts are amazing, but this is absolutely delicious.
They just keep getting better and better.
Better and better. It's funny because I don't usually like desserts with banana in it.
Oh really?
No.
No idea.
No, but this is actually
this is
really
lovely.
nice. And I get what you mean about the crunch.
Yeah, there's some sort of crunch to it.
This is not just any chocolate. This is couture chocolate.
This is couture
which is
chocolate.
Amazing. What have you got on your plate?
Proper tasting session we're having here.
know.
And
Should
I'm
we
sure this
start
one's
with
going to be
this?
delicious. But before we start, we have been advised by one of our lovely ladies here that in order to savour the flavour and really get the most out of the flavours in the chocolates, we should first of all drink some water.
Oh, okay.
And then when tasting the chocolate, we should let it melt in between.
Oh my goodness, this is like a real tasting session, isn't it? This is a real experience.
Close our eyes, breathe in, and really savour the flavours.
Oh, okay. Well,
let's do that.
Let's go. Bottoms up. Okay, so we're cleansing our palate now, having a bit of water.
Yeah, and now we'll try. So we said we go for the sea salt caramel first.
Yeah, I love salt.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So we have to savour it. So by closing our eyes, okay. That looks absolutely fantastic, guys, isn't it? Very nice. And do you know that William Curly chocolatiers, they actually use real chocolate, not the chemicals?
Really?
So it's really posh, very nice. It's all about quality for them. And I want to ask you guys this question. Do you think the appreciation of quality is going down nowadays, especially in Britain?
Ooh. I don't think so, because I think quality is so much more attainable now. And I think people have higher standards now, because before quality was something that was really expensive that most people couldn't afford to obtain. But I think now, if you really put your mind to it, I think everybody can get quality if it's in your home, with your clothes, with your food. I think it's much more attainable now.
What do you think, ladies? Do you tend to agree with her or disagree?
I disagree.
Oh, I love that. Go ahead.
That's because I think your population is growing so much nowadays, and there's a lot of demand for food, for clothes. So things have to be done quick and fast, and as much quantity as possible. And for example, I grew up. My parents had a company. They used to do suits, men's suits, and things were done with such quality, little details.
That's so true.
And it's something that whenever we'd go to the shop, to the stores, it's something my father would always point. Oh, you see, they didn't use this, they didn't do this. So they just try to do it quantity more than quality.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
whose side are you on?
I was on the fence. I don't do the fence, but I was on the fence. But I can kind of relate to what Patricia's saying there when it comes to, you know, really taking time and, you know, that detail for, you look at someone, you know, that is quality.
You don't really see that much these days.
No, but I think you do. If you go to the right places, you can. But before, there was a time in England where people couldn't go Savile Row and buy a suit. I think now most people can. Okay, they might not be able to buy it outright. They might have to hire it. But I think it's more attainable now. So I think people have a taste of quality that they weren't able to taste before.
Yeah, I think actually quality isn't just in a suit anymore, is it? There's like, you know, you can have a really expensive pair of trainers and you know that's quality to somebody else, you know? So the quality side of things, like a three-piece suit or a pair of trainers, they kind of go on par with each other now.
All right. I love how this is going, you know, where some of you are agreeing with each other. This is what I want in the next game, all right? So let's get ready. It's, of course, our DKW Classic Game Reading green card game. If you agree, you put up your green card. If it's like, no, red card, please. So I'm going to ask you a quick question. Right. Do you think morality is culturally conditioned? Do you think morality is culturally conditioned? If you think, yes, it is, I think it is, green card. If you think, no, it's not, red card. No offences, please. I just hate when this happens.
Yeah. So
Everyone's got a red card. All right then, somebody tell me why.
I don't think so, because it's how you can bring up that person with that good behaviour. I don't think it comes from an upper class person or the culture. No, I think it comes from that individual and how they want that person to be.
Don't you think your culture has a lot to do with how you bring someone up, or the morals that you have, or the sense that you have?
No.
No? Well, I have to disagree with you guys, all of you. Why do I say that? My family are West Indian parents, and they didn't spare the rod, and I think that's a lot to do with their culture. I don't think it's because it's something that they just thought of or was, you know, passed down from traditions. It's part of the culture in the West Indies to not spare the rod, and I don't think it did anything wrong. It didn't do anything. It wasn't quite bad to me.
I have to agree, because
it's culture. It's down to the culture that we have that
West
morals.
Indian in my family also, and I didn't. The rod wasn't spared on me, but it made me go the opposite way. So, you know, whereas for you, it put you in line, whereas for me, it took me out.
So it didn't give you any morals whatsoever?
It wasn't about the morals, it was to rebel against that.
Okay,
you know?
Right then.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
This is the point, this is why I put up the red card, because I think it's a choice. I really do believe morality is a choice, because it's like the nature-nurture argument. Are we born a certain way, or is it our environment that makes us a certain way? And I think people can choose, because I think you can grow up in an environment where it is really horrible, but I think you can choose to get yourself out of it.
You know, someone once said this, that the first 14 years of your life kind of imprint who you're going to be for the rest of your life and the kind of morals you're going to have. So in that case, if that is really true, it means that you can't really change some of the cool things about you.
I don't agree with that either.
I don't agree, because if I think about who I was for the first 14 years of my life, thank God I've changed.
Yeah, I have to say that as well, definitely.
Yeah. Patricia?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a choice, because you might grow up and your mom has taught you well and you're disciplined and you respect others, but it's one moment you might just choose, now I'm not gonna respect this person. Now I'm gonna say her some truth, and your morals are not there anymore. You choose when to use them and when not to.
Okay, guys. We'll agree to disagree. Next one. Have you ever been embarrassed of your culture, especially as being a Brit? Well, you're not a Brit, so I'll just say embarrassed of your culture. If you say yes, I have been embarrassed of my culture, please put your green card up. If you think no, I've never been embarrassed about my culture, put your red card up. Oh, ladies, you're taking time. Taking time. You're saying yes, yes, yes. Okay, Kim?
I could go either way, so I'm going to go...
Can we be on the fence?
No, there's no fence in this place.
Okay, I'm going to put a red.
Tell me why you said yes, Patricia. She can't remember.
Embarrassed of my culture. I don't like to talk bad about my culture, my people.
Yeah.
I love them. But there are moments where I do feel embarrassed. Certain attitudes, and I was, I'm Portuguese, born in Portugal and all that. But I've been away for many years now. And sometimes when I go back, it's kind of, I don't belong there anymore. And they have certain attitudes, certain ways of thinking that I don't think like that anymore, because I've been away for so long. And it makes me feel embarrassed sometimes. It's like they still live in this little box, and that's all they think and that's all they know.
Is it because they've been conditioned by their culture?
Yeah.
As in from the last question. All right, Kim, tell me why you say no.
The reason why I say no, personally, I have never been embarrassed by my culture in my personal life. I haven't been in a situation of, oh God, I'm so embarrassed to be British. But the reason why I'm on the fence, because sometimes I've seen things on TV.
Yes.
And I think, oh my God, why did they do this? You see people getting drunk and vomiting on the street. I think, oh, why are they doing this?
So you have been embarrassed.
But not personally. I've never been in a situation where I've seen it. I've never been out and I think, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I've never personally experienced it. No.
Okie dokes. Can
I change?
Yes, you can.
Because of what she just said, I have to say yes, I have been embarrassed by my culture. Just by the way I see, I'm somewhere and I see them behave, very rowdy, very loud, a bit obnoxious sometimes. And I think, why?
Okay, all right then. All right, we'll leave it there, ladies. We'll talk more about this because we've got to go to a quick break, but stick with us because, I'm going to be contesting some of these things. Welcome back, and today we've been asking the question, is Britain losing its class? Is it that anything goes now? Well, ladies, listen to this. I want to hear your opinion about this. A state school in Cheshire has introduced table manners, posture, elocution into its syllabus, and the principal believes that this will put its students on a level playing field with private schools. Let me know, what do you think about this? I want to ask you the question with your red and green card. Please have it up from the last one. And my question is, sorry, I've forgotten it. Yes, do you think that manners should be taught in schools? If you think yes, please hold up your green card. If you think no, put up your red card. No? Okay. Kim says no. Pat, you're saying yes. Di, you say yes. Why, Pat? Why do you think it should be taught in schools?
I think I think I know why she said no, but of course as mothers we have to teach them at home how to behave and how to sit at a table and eat, which fork, knife to use and all that. But I think it's important to teach it in school as well. We have so many after-school clubs for things that maybe are not so important that they could put that time to better use and teach them, because there are parents that don't know themselves as well. So how are we going to teach them if we don't know ourselves? So I think it would be important. I would love if my daughter had that.
Oh, Kimmy, why did you say no?
Because it is similar to what you said, because I do believe that so much is being put on the school system that the parents are just opting out. And I do think it's up to parents to teach their children to use a knife and fork, to be able to sit at the table. And the role of the school is just to make sure it's being done. Because when I was at school, I was taught to use a knife and fork at home, but when I was in school, the teacher would tell us things like, don't put your elbows on the table.
Yes.
So it wasn't their job to teach me how to cut my food. It was, I'm supposed to do that at home. And I think if we start saying everything needs to be done at school, I think the parents are just going to just opt out and think, if my child cannot sit at a table properly, if my child can't use a knife and fork, well, of course it's not my problem, is it? It's the school, and I think that is a problem.
All right, ladies, okay. I won't even let you speak, Di, because I'm going to ask you other questions. Look, we've been talking about this subject today, and I really want to get down to your opinions. We've had a lot come up. We've had Ellen, had the card games, we've had the quiz. Now, what do you love about being British or even living in Britain, and what is it that you think is classless?
I think what you could possibly see as classless is, it's a bit difficult, this one, because with being British, does it mean that you need to have a British accent, even if it's a London British accent or a regional British accent? And I think in some essence, the accent is what makes you British. I know not everybody has one, but when you go abroad, that's what defines you. Because when you open your mouth and you speak, people just have to hear the accent and they automatically know you're British.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes it nice to be British. And I'm saying that because I know Miss Patricia, you have your, and even so, can I add something to that? Even people who have, like, you've got a Portuguese accent, their accents actually turn a little bit British.
It does.
Seriously, it does. Because I've heard so many people with foreign accents with British tones. I've heard Portuguese people speak with British accents, and I love it. It makes me laugh.
What about you?
But do you know what I mean? They'll say a word, and it's so British.
Yeah, it's so British.
But with their accent, but they say it, and it's like, I know it sounds really peculiar, but you hear people with foreign accents that are British.
So, I have to say this, ladies, being British for me is so important. I think when you come from other countries, you think about Britain and it's like this wow place. And of course, when you come here to certain parts, you're kind of like, oh, is this it? Or some people say, is this it? But for me, like, I like to travel, I like to go on holiday. But for me, there's nothing like coming home.
Yeah.
Because when you go to other countries, I'm not going to say which ones, some people don't respect the queue, for example, that we have, the queuing system here in Britain, which I really love. And I love the fact that in Britain, you can just be yourself. Like, for example, my family from the West Indies, and when we travel, people often look at your clothes, and even if you're in the supermarket, they'll really be sizing you up, and it's not discreet. There's a lot of discretion in Britain. Of course, we say what we want to say, we say what we feel like saying, but we are quite reserved people. And what I love about being British, that you could wear what you want, you could do what you want. If you want to come out your house with a funky hairstyle and go down to the supermarket with your slippers, no one's going to care. No one's going to care, because it is that kind of country where anything goes in that sense, but then you're still respected. So no one's going to pull out a shotgun on you because you've got, you haven't worn the right kind of clothes today. People are free, generally quite free, and that's what I love about this country, that it adopts so many other countries, it welcomes so many other different kinds of food. You know, you can taste so you go in the street, you could have Chinese, McDonald's, you can have American, you could choose whatever you want. You've got like a melting pot of different nations. Having said that, sometimes some people might say maybe that's the reason that we could be losing our class. How do you think about that?
You just mentioned something, because so many people, for example, they come in here, and maybe if they were close to their parents, where their families are, they wouldn't go out to the shops in their pajamas. But because they are in London and nobody knows anyone, so they just think, oh, nobody knows me, so who cares? I'm just going to go to the shops in my pajamas. But that's classless.
Ooh, it's powerful. All right. What do you have to say about that, Di?
I actually agree with what she's saying to a certain extent, because I've seen people just walk, anything goes, you know. We're in Britain, so anything goes, and you do lose that class, definitely. You know, you can, if you've got a British passport, but not necessarily you are born in Britain. You're not looked at as British. So if you, am I? You know what I'm trying to say? So
elaborate.
I'm trying to, Kim. I'm trying to. So, say Patricia's got a British passport, but she opens her mouth. People won't class her as British. It's somebody who has the accent, the English accent, that will be defined.
But then what if she may not speak that way, but what if, for example, what's very British, your English tea, your fish and chips, what if she has all that kind of thing going on, but she doesn't have the accent, she's still not British?
No, what I'm saying is, she can go out and wear pajamas. No, I know you wouldn't. No. But because she might speak and she sounds Portuguese, somebody wouldn't look at her and say British standards are falling. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Do you know, there's something that she said there that I would like to bring up with just very quick, because we're running out of time, unfortunately, is this thing about the family. About the family values in Britain, and I think that is something that we're losing, because when I think about the British family, I would think about a Victorian house with your mum and your dad and your kids, and that house is passed down throughout the generations, and so many people, and we do have areas in Britain where people do still have that. It's so beautiful. It's like it's the same house their grandfather and their other grandfather lived, but nowadays, especially in London, you see that that's not happening. That Georgian Victorian house is now divided into about 7 different sections. There's now a studio flat, and your family, you don't live together. This one lives here, this one lives there, and that's kind of being broken down. And that's something I miss about the British culture, because I think that was something very British, having the family together around the fireplace, and you don't really see that nowadays.
Yes, you could say that's down to a lack of morality too, isn't it? That the family nucleus is not as it used to be. But one thing about being British, we have to sometimes know there's a difference between London and
Britain. And at large.
And we do think that London is Britain. Those who live in London, but what you've just described happens a lot outside of London. If you go to parts of Wales, you from England cannot buy or even live in certain villages in Wales. And so what you're saying does still happen, but not probably so much in London, because London is quite fluid, but there's parts of Wales and Scotland where what you're saying about being British, that still is very much part of their culture.
Ladies, we're running out of time. We've only got a minute left. Very quickly, how would you conclude? What were your final words?
I would say keep opening the doors, mind your P's and your Q's.
Because that's very British, yes.
Very British.
Patricia, what would be your final words?
I think we're talking about British passports, and when you travel abroad, people from outside UK, they look up to British people.
Yes.
If you present a British passport, wow, she's from England. Even when I go back home, oh, she lives in London. And okay, but I think it's important that we keep this class. Like Americans think British people are polite, so let's be polite, not lose these values. So it's important to keep to your cultures, your manners, your etiquettes, Lovely. Kim?
I believe that etiquette is important regardless of being British or not. So I think it shouldn't just be a British thing, but I think, learn to use your knife and forks. Parents, teach your children to use their knife and forks. And at the same time, there's nothing wrong with eating your chips from paper.
We do love that. How can I conclude on that one? Well, ladies and gentlemen watching, is Britain losing its class? I personally think this is a much broader subject. We could develop it even more. But one thing about Britain is that it was very, very, very much known as having its strong morals down to the faith that the country held. And I think as the faith decreases, then you will lose these moral values. And I think this is very important to mention, because people often ask us, what is it that's so different about us? Well, it's the fact that we do live our lives, enjoy life, but we have this faith as our foundation, a faith that I believe was really hammered in the British culture back in the day, which I think nowadays you don't really see. And with losing that, perhaps you lose that class. But still, that doesn't mean that just because in general it's happening, you can't make a difference. Be respectful, keep hold of those values, as Patricia was saying, and be British and be respectful and honourable. So until next week, see you, bye-bye.
I suffered a breakdown and I also had depression. I kind of lost my way in my life, and I didn't really have very much confidence in myself. I started to get panic attacks, and I think that's what led to the breakdown. But I was also dissatisfied with my life and I felt in a rut. I knew that I had to change myself, but I didn't feel that I had the strength to do it. There was a gap of a year, and I was building myself up, inspired and empowered. I was gaining all this knowledge in practical ways, how to use things how to develop a confidence in myself and a faith in myself that I could do things. Now I have dreams for my life, and I'm going to become a potter. I'm going to buy a bit of land. I'm going to build an eco house on it. I'm just stronger now, and I'm much more joyful in my life and more excited about my life.